I am so happy to say that I am back. I'm pretty much back, 99.9% downloaded. After being in bed for so many days and being so sick, I literally went to war with myself, actually. And I have just like come up for air now. And I'm like, whew, that was intense. And I mean, that's what this video is actually all about. It's about this massive collapsion. It is a word, say it all the time. It's my word. A massive collapsion of this old timeline and this moving into the new. And I wanted to do a video to bring crystal clear clarity on the understanding of what exactly is a timeline and what does it mean and how do we do it when we collapse it and we move on to the next, just to get it more grounded and embodied. But before I do that, there is a lot coming up and a lot going on, which I'm very excited about. So first of all, just to put on your radar more immediately, next week, so the 31st of October, which is Halloween, remember the temple doors open, and I'm going to be holding again a Zoom private group, absolutely free, so there's nothing for you to worry about there. And this time we're going to be working with the Heremetic principles. Thoth is very much the keeper of the Heremetic principles, and these are ancient wisdom teachings, ancient laws. And this month has all been about ascension ladders. Not that I've had much information out there because I've been too busy climbing up my own ascension ladder, dying in my bed. But now I'm back. I'm going to be banging out a load of videos now that's going to kind of help you really embody the importance of what it is to work with these principles now, because it's very much needed for you to timeline jump now, for you to go on to the new reality. This is what needs to be worked with, the 7 Heremetic principles and all principles like that. Last month we did Ma'at's seven principles. This month we're doing Thoth's principles. I'm going to be sharing some videos in the coming days of just working with, other ascension ladders, which kind of bring the same energy and assistance to our ascension path in living in this life, which is kind of crazy when you're a starseed incarnate, right? So that's what it's all about. So next week is the 31st of October, 5 p.m. Central Africa time. Okay, I'm going to put the link to the Zoom room, aka my temple, in this post, and I'm calling all initiates to the classroom. That's what the temple is all about, and it's really important that we gather. So I've said this before, I've said it again. I do my lives at the beginning of the month, which is very much a ceremonial gathering for all of us. Our energy is so important that we come together. It is so important that we start working together and bringing ourselves to the sacred circle so we can really do this work on a much more powerful way for our own healing, and then that resonates out into the world. Then we move to the end of the month. So whatever I've taught all the way through YouTube, there's always a very rhythmic tone to what I teach throughout the month of my YouTube channel. So then when we get to the end of the month, there's almost like a building of energy, kind of like a culmination point. So that's really important that you dive into the temple and you come and receive the teachings and show up as well and interact. That's why I wanted to do the temple, because obviously a Zoom room, we can talk rather than a live stream other than YouTube. So, so it's like that's kind of like how it rolls. So if you believe deep down that you have those powerful qualities, like even going back to ancient Egypt, to all of the timelines back then, and you kind of wanting to bring that wisdom forward now as a wisdom keeper, a way shower, an initiate, which is exactly what you are, right? A master. This is the energy and the community that you need to be aligned with. So when you come and we bring more of us to this space, the energy just amps, because it's all about frequency and vibration, man. So the more of us that come together at the temple, the better. So I'll just leave that one there. So 31st of October, make a note of it. Link is going to be for the temple is going to be in this post, and it starts at 5 p.m. Central Africa time. Okay, now there's a lot more stuff going on there, but I'm going to save that for other videos, because next month is Sekhmet month, and November is always a powerful month for Sekhmet, because that's when a lot of sort of like sacred holidays and celebrations and festivities are, and there is a lot happening with that as well. So get ready, we're ramping up, and as we ramp up, we are stepping into the belly of that goddess, and we're stepping into our own hearts, lion hearts, as Sekhmet is going to come in furiously next month. Let me tell you, you think that we're about to kind of get into the end? Not really. We're ramping it up. So I will be releasing some very exciting dates, like very, very soon. So you can also get ready, and they're all free. Nothing costs at all here. That's not what it's about, because Sekhmet is all about the gifting economy, not bartering or anything like that. She's about the gift economy. So that means that we come as we are, and that is how we share our light with each other. So again, no excuses for you to be sat there doing nothing. You can just turn up to the temple and receive the giftings and the blessings of Sekhmet. So now let's get into this video. What is a timeline? So a timeline is a certain experience that you can have in one dimension. So if you think of your life, okay, you can have several different experiences going off all at the same time. You've probably heard that many, many times, that we are actually in several different dimensions all at once. Quite hard to get your pip round. But what that means is you can choose to have different experiences with the same thing, right? So for example, you could be having a run-in with somebody, all right? And your initial thing could be just to fight fire with fire. They could come at you with anger, you come at them with anger, and you just, this is just not good. Do you know what I mean? And it's back and forth, and it's very, very intense, and it's very upsetting, and it's just not good, right? But if you choose a different frequency and vibration through changing your perception, you could have a different experience with that person. And instead of going to war with that person, you could have more down, maybe a sit-down chat, okay? That's another timeline of the same experience. Or you could choose to actually just not deal with them at all. Do you know what I mean? And just go, do you know what? I'm just going to drop this like a hot potato. I'm going to shift out of this. Silence is power. Whatever way you look at it, it's okay. You choose something else. You choose another way to have an experience with that thing. Another way to explain this is, a timeline can be very much likened to a house. If I invite you around to my house and I say, hey, come stand and look at my house from my driveway, you're going to look at my house and go, that's a nice house, Maria. And I go, thanks, I know. And we're going to stand in the driveway and we're going to look at my front door and we're going to go, that's nice. That's one experience of this house. So I might take you round now to the side of the house, which hasn't got much going because it's just like a little side path down the side. And you're like, okay, this is all right, but not really much going on here, Marie. Why are you showing me the bins are here? Thanks for that. Okay, that's another experience of the house. But wait. So I take you around the back of the house, which is where the garden is, which is where the swimming pool is. There's some sun loungers. There's a beautiful oak tree for us to have some tea. You're like, this is a nice side of the house. Different experience once again. Probably the most nicest experience of this house that you've given me, Marie. Thank you very much. But it's the same house. You see what I'm saying? Different angles, different visions, different viewpoints of something gives you a different experience. That's a timeline. Timeline front door, timeline at the side, timeline at the back. You get to choose out of all those places I'll show you around my house where you want to have a cup of tea. You know what I mean? And obviously the back garden is going to be so much nicer, isn't it? So that's a bit like a timeline. So we have really big timelines and we have mini timelines. Now, it's just my gospel of Marie, how I understand it. It is everything is a game. I always refer to this life that we are in. In fact, I'm writing a book about it because it backs up the Heremetic principles, how to play the game, capital G-A-M-E, because that is what this life is all about, right? So it's all about understanding how to get the rungs up on the ladder, how to collapse that level, if you like. Think about Donkey Kong or, I don't know, a video game. Play the game, gather all the gold coins, collapse the timeline, and then go up to the next level. And then you just keep winning and then up to the next level. That's ascension, essentially, isn't it? Right? So when you liken this as a game, you start to understand the principles and everything that goes with it, right? So a timeline in your life, okay, you can have lots of unpreferred timelines, but listen, there's also really good timelines where you're like, well, that's really nice. That's what you're wanting to work towards, right? So, but these horrible timelines of maybe relationships that don't treat you nice, or, living in a shitty job that you just don't want to do because you've got this burning creativity inside of you and you know it's not meant to be working in a corner shop, like, you know what I mean? Or whatever. It could be to do with that. It could be just, sort of like sat there in lack, like you don't, you're just feeling lack, you know what I mean? Or it could be that you have a very sick body. These are all different experiences of your life and they are all timelines, okay? So as you go through life and you ascend, what do? We say, well, God, I've been sick for years. So we start to do the energy work to unpack the density and the shadow and understand it so we can actually soul retrieval, bring ourselves back into wholeness. That storyline doesn't need to exist anymore because now you've understood the depths of your sickness and ailments in your body and you've taken the shadow into the light and you've illuminated everything. Everything comes back into wholeness. Now, all of a sudden, that collapses and your body's not sick anymore. Now you're onto something else. Do you see? So that was a timeline. That was another version of experience of your life, right? So we just keep doing that and building upon that. So, of course, when we first start this journey, those timelines are quite sticky and dense. However, there are some timelines that are really long in their ability to just hand out the lessons. So it's the same tone of one thing, but you're going up the spiral. So some timelines you'll find are acute, like you could have a bad experience with a boss at work, you leave the job done, you never see him again or the job. That's squashed, okay? Move on to something else. But I think when we get to our level of work, we're now, what I'm talking about is your core experiences in your life, what I call your shadow core, soul core shadow, if you like. Do you know what I mean? It's basically the big lesson that you came here for. Once you've done energy work enough, you start to really get to the crux of the lesson that you came here for. That gives you that spiral. You know, where you just start working up and working up and working up. And eventually you get to the point where you become in its highest aspect, meaning eventually you get to the highest expression of that shadow, right? And then the balloon pop moment comes, which is about now. So can I refer to that as this big timeline? So all of those other things in your life has led you up to this moment. So all those little timelines have led you up to the big timeline. So in my eyes, this big timeline now culminates to just one big ball of shit, okay? Which when we did the 1010 live ceremony just a week or so ago, okay, we closed the door behind us. There was no reference. We would not be able to go back, okay? That door got, the lines got severed. The timeline was just cut energetically. So now we felt that and we got propelled forward. We got pushed forward. So now that's what I'm talking about. Like that now is done. Okay. So now we have to now find our footing and now work with our new timeline. It requires fresh oxygen, a brand new perspective, your whole mind, the way you think, the way you feel, the way that you used to operate, gone. Dunzos, because that was required for the old timeline. What this new timeline requires, which is essentially the new earth, which is essentially the golden age of Aquarius, which is essentially being born through you, through your admission and sacred yes to move into the new timeline. Now that's when everything starts to get a bit chaotic. Hence why Marie's got very, very sick, you know, but I'm here for it because during that time I died. 100% I died. I went into a place through delirium, through channel, through sickness, all of the thing. And I just let it fall. I just let it go. And there was a lot there. There was a lot. So now I'm stepping into my new timeline and it has brought me to this present moment. Essentially, that is the place where you get brought to, which is presence. And I'm going to do another video on this because this is a lot of information here to understand the difference between, we all know Eckhart Tolle, power of now, the presence, the stillness, and then also what it's like to be bouncing in the past and the future and through fear. That's not what we're doing anymore. That was the old timeline. So as that timeline collapses, you become a master of the mind, meaning you start to work with the principle of mentalism. And that is one of the principles that we'll be working with when I do the in our temple meet, which is going to be on the 31st of October. That is what we're working with. We're working with those principles. The first one is the principle of mentalism, becoming a master of the mind. So now it's actually coming in, knowing that the shadow mind is not what you're working with now, but you're going to work with the light of the mind, which is going to serve you and hold you and bring you to a place of desired outcome. Okay, so the mind is going to work for you, not against you. So I'm going to kind of just leave that there because that's kind of the process. And that's what's going on right now. That's what's going on right now. So now the other videos I release beyond this now are going to make sense. Okay, so that's it. Lesson done. And now it sounds like I smoked 40 cigars before I did the video, but let's leave that one there. I'll be moving on to the other videos. Let that settle, petal, and I'll be seeing you very, very soon. But otherwise, just let it all fall away. That's it and that's all. Nothing you need back there. It's dunzos. Peace.